Brand new from Bananarama, Masquerade. Good morning, big man. Truck loaded, en route home, and should make it back in time for Archie's first sports day. Oh, says Lee, the trucker in Market Harborough. Enjoy that. Have a great weekend as well, Lee. Big shout out to all the lorry drivers listening. Morning, Vern. My husband and I are on our way to Silverstone for our very first ever Grand Prix. We're so excited. Happy Friday, Christina and Steve Thompson. P.S. It's the present for his 40th last September. Mention his age. You'll love that. Steve Thompson, there is absolutely nothing wrong with being 40. You want to try waking up on your birthday and you're 48, but you still feel 19. That's where you're at. You know, like I said at the beginning of the week, there's more hair now that falls down the sink than ever before. When I have a shower, it's scary. Radio 2, Sounds App Smart Speaker, 88 to 91 in the FM. Here's Claire with the news.
BBC News at 7 o'clock on Friday the 1st of July. Good morning, this is Claire Runacres. Boris Johnson is facing calls to suspend a Conservative MP who's resigned as the Deputy Chief Whip following a drunken incident. Ukrainian officials say at least 17 people have been killed by Russian missiles in the southern city of Odessa. And from today, nurses, pharmacists and other health professionals can certify sick notes. Boris Johnson is facing calls to suspend a Conservative MP who resigned as the government's Deputy Chief Whip following complaints about his drunken behaviour. In a letter to the Prime Minister, Chris Pincher apologised for drinking too much and said he'd embarrassed himself and others. Labour have accused the Tories of being mired in sleaze and scandal. Lewis Goodall from BBC's Newsnight says it's not the first time Mr Pincher's behaviour has been called into question.
In 2017, he was accused of sexual impropriety with a Conservative activist who was then cleared after an investigation by the Conservative Party. But this is one of the reasons why people like Angela Rayner, the Deputy Leader of the Labour Party, is asking why Mr Pincher was returned to the Conservative Whip's office and saying that the Prime Minister has questions to answer.
Ukrainian officials say at least 17 people have been killed by Russian missiles in the southern city of Odessa. One hit a block of flats where 14 residents are said to have died. Our correspondent Joe Inwood is in the capital, Kiev.
The missiles landed at about 1 o'clock this morning. We understand one of them hit a residential block, the other one what's been described as a resort complex. 17 dead in total, 30 people wounded. This comes not long after Russian forces were forced from Snake Island. It became well known internationally after the defenders told a Russian warship, the Moskva, to go away in slightly more colourful terms. And they became national heroes. Now, it's been fought over this island many times over the course of this war. The Ukrainians said they had destroyed their facilities on the island and forced them off.
China's President Xi Jinping has defended the model for running Hong Kong during a ceremony to mark 25 years since Britain handed over control of the territory. Beforehand, Boris Johnson had accused Beijing of failing to keep commitments to respect Hong Kong's freedoms. From today, nurses and pharmacists can certify sick notes as well as doctors. The change has been introduced to help reduce the pressure on GPs. Other health professionals can also approve the documents, now called fit notes. The new system covers England, Scotland and Wales. Northern Ireland is to follow suit. Here's our health editor, Hugh Pym.
Doctors issue fit notes to provide evidence of a patient's condition and ability to work. Employers can ask for a note if an employee has been off sick for more than 7 days. From today, nurses, occupational therapists, pharmacists and physiotherapists will be able to certify the fit notes as well as doctors. The idea is to make it easier for people to discuss their situation with employers by getting advice provided by the most relevant healthcare professional. At the same time, ministers say it'll reduce the workload for GPs and other doctors and speed up the process.
Police officers in Scotland are preparing to withdraw their goodwill in a dispute about pay. They aren't allowed to go on strike. Instead, the action, which will begin at 5 o'clock this afternoon, will include not starting shifts early or taking radio equipment home. The Scottish Police Federation described it as the most overt demonstration of action in more than a century. Police Scotland said it was committed to seeking a settlement. The media regulator Ofcom says it's looking at whether to allow advertising breaks on UK television to be longer and more frequent. It says it's considering a range of options as part of a review of broadcasting rules. A charity is warning that families who look after the children of relatives or friends when their parents can't are being pushed into poverty by a lack of official financial support. The organisation Kinship says that without help, many could be forced to give up caring for the children. Lucy Peake, who's the chief executive of the charity, says the issue is getting worse.
Kinship carers have been struggling financially for many, many years. They don't have the same rights as foster carers to a financial allowance. So many of them give up work, they don't get an allowance, and of course they are plunged into poverty. What's worse now is there is a cost of living crisis, so it's more urgent than ever that the government steps in.
And finally, a racing pigeon has been found 3 weeks after heading for home in Tyneside in the southern US state of Alabama. The bird, named Bob, should have taken 10 hours to fly from Guernsey back to Gateshead. His owner, Alan Todd, reckons he took a wrong turn and somehow landed on a ship crossing the Atlantic. Bob is being looked after by an animal shelter in the town of Monroeville. The weather, a mix of clouds, sunshine and showers for much of the UK today. Top temperatures of 16 Celsius in Belfast, 18 in Cardiff, 19 in Edinburgh and 22 in London. BBC News, it's 7:05.
On the BBC Sounds app, on your smart speaker and on 88 to 91 FM.
The Radio 2 Breakfast Show
with Vernon Kay.
Good morning, Great Britain and the world. It's 5 minutes past 7 in the AM. Welcome. This is the BBC Radio 2 Breakfast Show. It's my last day. It's Friday. Zoe's back on Monday.